Hello, primary 4 students. How are you? Welcome to your science class. As now, we will study lesson 2 from concept 1, unit 4. This is me, Shaima Hamdi, and you are watching the Big Sister channel. So now we will take activity 4. What you already know about breaking down and moving rocks. And make sure that you have watched lesson 1 because information here depends on what we studied in lesson 1, okay? Okay, as we see here, this breaking down in the rocks of the street, okay? And this breaking down, we call it weathering. So weathering is breaking down the rocks, okay? Here, yes, this is a wind, yes? And the wind blows and moves the small particles, yes? So the moving of small particles called what? Yes, erosion. So this is erosion by wind. As wind moves the small particles to another place, okay? Okay, now we have this diagram, okay? We have here what? Yes, we have rain, wind, and water flow, okay? And we have 3 areas, area A, and area B, and area C, okay? First, what happens in area A, as you see here? Yes, here the rocks are broken into smaller particles, okay? We can say particles or sediments, okay? Sediments. Okay, so this is called weathering, and it can be happened by what? The effect of water or wind, okay? This are 2 factors that causes weathering, okay? And we have another factors, okay? So in area A, weathering happens, okay, as breaking down of large rocks into smaller particles or sediments, okay? Okay, here in area B, what happens? Yes, here the small particles or the sediments are moving to another place, yes? So this is erosion, okay? So here in area B, erosion happens as moving of sediments from one place to another, as you see here. So this is erosion. Here we have area C. What do you see here? Yes, the sediments or the particles stop in this place, okay? So they are moved from one place to another. They now reach to the other place, okay? Okay, so here we call it deposition. Deposition, okay? As in the deposition, the dropping of sediments into new place, okay? Now they reach to the new place, okay? So here, the dropping sediments reach and collected in a new place. So this is deposition, okay? Okay, we mentioned small particles or sediments. What is the sediments? Sediments may be sand, rocks, or soil, okay? And all of them are small particles that are broken from larger rock, yes? So here, sediments like sand, particles, or small rocks, okay? Or soil. And this depends on the environment where the weathering takes place, happens, or occur. If the weathering is happening in coastal rocks, so may these rocks will broken into smaller rocks, okay? if the weathering is happening in a land that has plants, okay, so may these rocks in this place is broken into soil, into small particles, okay, as the soil, okay. Also, sand, as we mentioned in lesson 1, is formed the breaking of a special type of rocks. So here, sand, small rocks, and soil are sediments, okay? Okay, now we will start activity 5. What is weathering, okay? You know, weathering looks like the word weather, okay? And we know that weather means what? The condition of the atmosphere at specific time and place, okay? As the weather today is cold, so the specific time is today, and the place is this area that we are living in, okay? So weather is the condition of atmosphere at specific time and place, okay? And the factors that affect the weather as temperature, rain, and wind, okay? As if the temperature is high, so it is hot, and if the opposite, the temperature is low, so it's cold. Also, if there is rain, so it's rainy, okay? And if there is strong wind, so it is windy. So those are the factors that affect the weather, okay? Okay. Here we will talk about weathering. And weathering is the breaking down of rocks, of Earth's surface into tiny particles, into sediments, okay? Factors cause the weathering as what? Temperature, water, and wind. We know the effect of the water and wind in breaking down rocks, and we will study the effect of the temperature, okay? Also, the condition of the weather help us to know what we will wear when we go outside, okay? And weathering, it can change the shape of Earth's surface over time, as we studied, okay? Let us take some examples for the weathering, okay? As you see here, breaking of statues, okay? As weathering happened to many of these statues, okay? As some rocks of these statues are broken down from these statues, as what? If we take an example that we know as Sphinx, okay? You know, from thousands of years, the original shape of this statue was like that, okay? Okay. But now, as the effect of weathering, it looks like what we saw, okay? Some rocks are broken from Sphinx, okay? Due to the weathering process. So the first example of weathering is breaking of statues, okay? Also, removing panes from buildings, as you see here. As what happens to this building as some of the rocks are broken from it due to weathering, so it looks like that, okay? Also, waves pull the sand of the seashores, as when the sea wave reach to the sand of the shore of the beach, what happens? It pulls some of the sand, okay, to the sea, okay. So those are 3 examples for weathering, okay? The breaking of the statues, the removing of the panes of the buildings, and the waves pull the sand of the seashores, okay? Okay, we said that the factors that affect weathering are wind, water, and temperature. So how to the temperature to cause weathering, okay? Breaking down the rocks. How it comes? As you see here, colder climate and ice are other factors that can change the landscape, okay? Can change the nature, okay? How? As you see here, colder climate and ice are other factors that can change the landscape. How? As if water go inside the cracks in the rocks, okay? And then these water will freeze because the cold climate, okay? So here the ice will expand, yes, and causes what? These cracks to be wider, okay? And then when the temperature increases and this ice melts, and this process happens over and over, so it causes what? The breaking down of rocks, as you see here, okay? Okay, so now we know that the wind, water, and temperature, okay, as the colder climate or ice causes what? Weathering, okay, breaking down of the rocks. So now we will go to activity 6 and know the types of weathering, okay? We call the breaking down of rocks due to the effects of physical factors. What the meaning of physical factors? Factors that are in nature, okay? Like wind, water, temperature, okay, as we said, and plant roots. The plant roots can cause weathering, okay? So the weathering that happens from the physical factors like wind, water, plant roots, and temperature, we call it what? Mechanical weathering. Mechanical weathering. So mechanical weathering is the breaking down of rocks due to the effect of what? Physical factors. What is the physical factors? Like water, wind, plant roots, and temperature. Okay? So we will take each one of them. Now you will start with the rule of wind in mechanical weathering. How the wind causes this mechanical weathering. We know it before, okay? As wind carrying sand particles, okay? When this wind that carrying sand particles hit a larger rock, so what happens? Friction occurs. Friction between the sand particles and the large rock, okay? So this friction between the sand particles and the rock causes what? Yes, breaking down these rocks, okay, into sediments or small particles, okay? So this is the rule of wind in mechanical weathering, as the wind carrying sand particles, when this wind hits a large rock, so friction occur between the sand particles and the rocks, causing what? Breaking down the rocks into smaller particles or sediments, okay? Now we will talk about the rule of water in mechanical weathering, okay? Okay, as you see here, the flowing of water that carries gravels, okay? Gravels means small rocks, okay? And sand runs quickly and collides with large rocks. So then the large rocks are broken and the rough edges become smooth, okay? So here what happens? Also, flowing of water that carries gravels and sand runs quickly and collides with large rocks. Then large rocks are broken and the rough edges become smooth of these large rocks, okay? Okay, So we talked about the rule of wind and water, and we saw the weathering. Here, by wind and water are caused by what? Yes, the flowing of water that carries gravels and sand, and it hits the larger rocks, so it causes weathering, okay? To these large rocks to be broken into smaller parts, okay? Also in the wind carries sand, okay, particles, so when it hits the rocks, the friction between the sand particles and the large rock causes what? Weathering, okay, for these large rocks. Now we will go to the rule of the plant roots in mechanical weathering, okay? As you know, the roots grow inside the cracks of the rocks, okay, then become wider as these roots grow bigger and bigger. So this causes the cracks in the rocks to be wider. After that, the rocks are broken, okay? So the roots grow inside the cracks and causes the cracks to be wider, and after that, the rocks are broken, okay? Now, the rule of temperature in mechanical weathering, okay? As water flows in the tiny cracks of rocks. When the temperature gets very cold, water freezes, becomes ice, yes? And when it is ice, so it expands and make the cracks become wider, okay? When the temperature increases, so this ice melts and water refill again, and this process happens more and more until the rocks are broken, okay? So this is the rule of temperature. As you see here, the water fills the cracks in the rocks, and if the temperature becomes very cold, so this water will be ice, will freeze, okay, and expands and make the cracks go wider, as you see here. And after that, if the temperature increases again, so this ice will melt, okay, and these cracks refilled again by water, and so on until the rocks are broken. Now, we talked about the first type of weathering, which is mechanical weathering, and this is the breaking down of rocks due to physical factors. And physical factors like what? Like wind, like water, like plant roots, and temperature, okay? There is another type of weathering called chemical weathering. We will talk about it in next video, okay? So for now, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. See you next video, inshallah, and goodbye.